So the big trip from the Amazon up to Grenada in the Caribbean, and no, we didn't pedal all the way. We actually sailed. It probably would have been easier to pedal. A little bit of exploring the Amazon tributaries by surf ski, but the next few clips are of our 140-kilometer trip down the river back to the sea. Some maintenance on the fly there, on the outriggers. Oats, that's not the one. Oats on the Amazon.
A whole bowl of everything.
Nice brown river to look at. Goodbye, Belém. Belém was a busy place, very interesting place, but a big city. So we're happy to get out into the countryside, up the river we go, or down the river we go towards the sea, which is still about 100 kilometers away. A few big ships ahead of us to dodge. But otherwise we're going well, under full sail on the Para River. There we go. Yeah, and a nice day. So we couldn't do the whole trip down the river in one shot. We had to wait for the tides, so for the incoming currents and outgoing currents. So we stopped over in Sore for the night, a little town coming into Sore river mouth. It's on Mothershore Island, biggest river island in the world. And it's nice beaches, forest-lined beaches. We're heading straight for that lighthouse as our line. And yes, once again, up the river. Just for the night to anchor, and then tomorrow we're out to the Caribbean. Late afternoon now, 4:20 on Thursday the 28th of April. That's one of the markers, the lighthouse. Going into Sore town on Mothershore Island. Yeah, seems to be a nice little place. And we're anchoring here overnight before leaving for the Caribbean tomorrow. We're going to get out the exit of this Para River, which is part of the Amazon Delta. We'll go out of here tomorrow. So this is our anchorage at Sore, the island on the Amazon Delta. And yeah, the storms are here. Anchored in the river, which is a tributary of the big Para River, which runs into the Amazon Delta. Here's the challenge, trying to get out of a surf ski in the current onto a yacht.
It's not bouncing up and down, so
The machine on the Amazon. There he goes. And leaving Sore on Mothershore Island. Ferries carrying trucks across. These guys make it happen, yeah, some one way or the other. Island there. Irish is watching our course, making sure we get out into the main big Para River. Okay. You probably can't see it on the camera, but this is us rocking and rolling, and we're still 30 kilometers up the river. Crazy. The river is about 40 kilometers wide, yeah, so it's pretty much like the sea, just a brown one. And we're trying to head in there to anchor there tonight. Hopefully we can find a calmish. So here we are, anchored off Mothershore Island. It's actually a big nature reserve. We've anchored off. No one around, no people, no cars, nothing. Really nice and secluded and peaceful. This is before our final outgoing tide attack tomorrow to get out the mouth. Anyway, it was the end of a tough day of sailing. We had to beat against the wind all the way, but we anchored down. Cheers! And we're off, hoping to get out of the river mouth today. Left our anchorage last night, which was quite a bumpy, rolly anchorage. But we're mobile. Irish taking his swim in the Amazon. Hopefully he's swimming against the current there. Yo. And it's bucketing down with rain, so it's probably going to get drier in the water. So here's where we're trying to get out of. Here we are here, and we're trying to get up and around that corner there to head out to sea. And it's still about 20 miles to go. It's about 35 kilometers to get around that corner. We'd love to take the Tiger line through there, but we've been advised not to. So the Amazon River is spitting us out, quite literally spitting us out. We got 9.3 knots, 9 knots of speed, and the boat is actually only doing 5 knots, which means we've got 4 knots of current pushing us out. I mean, that is unbelievable amount of water at a 40 kilometer wide mouth, and there's 4 knots of water flowing out. Absolutely amazing. But we're almost around our corner and we can turn and burn and head west. So there we are, finally exiting the Para River, part of the Amazon. And we're going die hook, like the paddlers say. We're going die hook, around the corner. And that little green thing sticking out there looks awfully lot like a finger. It's giving us the finger and it's telling us to get the hell out of here, which we're going to oblige. So we thought we had a fishing net stuck under the boat on the props. We stuck the GoPro on a pole and stuck it into the water on the fly and had a look at the prop. It all looked okay, but this is, you can see the water rushing by. So that's a little afternoon boat check. Make sure everything's ready for the night. Nothing's loose, nothing's broken, nothing's hanging where it shouldn't be hanging. We'll squiz around the boat. Hatches are open for air. It's bloody hot. Need all the air we can get. Spinnaker's doing a great job for us. Spinnaker bag is ready for packing for night time. We don't want to leave the spinnaker up tonight in case the squall comes through. Mainsail looks good. Yeah, and we're cruising along very nicely.
And then some salads.
There's no more, there's no salad left, so I'm alright.
Are you catching all these deliberations about the chef as we make up the menu?
There's evidence here.
We're winging it. We're going wing on wing. This is Dumb and Dumber. Wing on wing.
This is, we've just crossed the equator earlier.
How angry do you think
So it is now 9 in the morning and Neptune is angry with us. Things haven't been going well last night and today. So we're going to give him a little conciliatory drink.
what we did to upset Neptune so much?
There we go. Cheers. You are now shall
My cereal.
with your breakfast. There you go. Hey. Neptune. There we go. Have mercy. Oh.
Hold on.
Gotta go again, sorry.
Hold on the
All
outboard.
over the outboard engine. To Neptune. Give us the pleasure of the sea. Cheers. So in Belém in Brazil, I bought this Mallory hair clipper. Little did I know it's 110 volts and not 220 volts. So I plugged it into 220 volts on the boat. And I was merely cutting my hair and it just got hot and started smoking. Anyway, it's a 110 volts, it didn't work, it's burnt out and I'm left with a bit of a mess on my hair. I'm sort of half cut. I don't know what to do. But anyway, we'll sort it out with the GNT. Cheers. Thanks Ted. There is Barber Ted rectifying the situation. Just finished making dinner. We got tuna that we caught about an hour ago, cooked under the tin foil. Chips and a nice sunset. The problem with that sunset is it's a flat sea and you might hear the motor in the background of the boat. We're having to motor along to keep up our speed instead of sailing, so yeah, leaving a bit of a carbon footprint. Apologies to Greta Thunberg, I think is her name. Okay, so sailing 101, take 4. The GoPro didn't work. But the guys are laughing at me here in the background. But anyway, sailing 101. We on an optimum course and optimum wind for a catamaran. I can show you. We've got 120 degrees over there. You can see 120 degrees angle to the wind, apparent wind. So that is a nice, the wind's coming sort of from our stern quarter. That's the back right of us. And it's blowing at about 10-11 knots apparent wind. And that's giving us, you can see over here, about 7.3, 7.7 knots down the waves, averaging out about 6.5 knots. And we've got a great little course. We're following our route, that purple line, straight out between Trinidad and Tobago is our target. And we're going to cut through there and then up to Grenada over there. And so we're on a fair winds and following seas course. Okay, so here is sailing 101 part 2 take 5/3. The guys reminded me that I need to do a little clip and explain how the autopilot works. So here's the autopilot. Alright, let me just swap the camera around. Okay, so that's the little autopilot control there. And what you see is it's got standby and auto. When I push the auto button, it goes on to autopilot. It's currently steering to wind. You can see the wind there at 132 degrees. So the autopilot is keeping the boat at a certain angle to the wind. I can change it so that it keeps the boat on a certain course, which we do mostly. But today we just want to keep it following a certain wind angle. And the way it does that, it's got a little sensor, a little gyro compass in the boat, so it knows where it's going and it steers accordingly. And to steer, the main part of autopilot is the little motor that drives the hydraulic steering, little hydraulic motor. And we've dubbed that or nicknamed the autopilot Forest because it never stops going. And in all our videos you might hear the little buzz zzz going on, and that is the autopilot motor. I'll show it to you right now what the autopilot motor looks like and the hydraulics it's working through. So that there is Forest. There you go, you can hear him working hard, never stops running. So it's a little hydraulic servo motor, and it runs all those hydraulic pipes going up there from the steering all the way to the rudder. Okay, so this is the nitty-gritty of autopilot. That's the steering, all the hydraulic piping, and that is Forest's brains. This box here is Forest's brains. He works out where we are in space and steers us. That is the AIS unit that tells us where all the ships are around us, and that's connected to the VHF radio. Yeah, it all gets a little bit... I installed the AIS myself, but that's as far as my technical ability got. The autopilot is a whole nother level. So here is where Forest's work finally gets transmitted to the rudder. You can see the big rudder shaft, and if you look carefully you can see the hydraulic cylinder steering the arm back and forth. So that's Forest controlling the rudder. It's a valve at the back there just to deactivate so we can manually set the rudder. But that is the actual rudder shaft going down through the bottom of the boat, and that's the sensor, this little arm over here that tells Forest where the rudder is, and that's the rudder, the cylinder, hydraulic cylinder steering controlling the rudder arm here. Now that is the whole of Forest, and we have company right next to us. It's 100-foot ship going fast, and that's fairly close. Certainly got our attention. Okay, good morning. It's our final day approaching Grenada, and I thought it'd be a good time. You know me, you know the boat, you know the sea, you know all the issues we've had, but you don't know the crew too well, so it's time to get to know the crew. So I'll fire a few questions at Ted and see what his thoughts are about this whole sailing thing. Morning again, Ted. Seen enough of you the past 12 days, but so kicking off, Ted, just give us a bit of a background about yourself, your family, where you live, all the rest of it.
Okay, so I'm able seaman, stroke scrubber Ted, married to Anne for 45 years, living in Plet, have got 3 children and 7 grandchildren scattered around Johannesburg and Cape Town.
Hey, that's a good effort. So you obviously came on this trip to escape all of that.
Yeah.
All right. Ted, have you sailed before? What sailing you done?
So I haven't done much in the way of formal sailing. I've had Hobie Cat in years gone past, but that was really kind of hooligan sailing rather than anything of this nature.
Okay. So, yeah, look, it's a different lifestyle. There's not many people have done it. But, and then why did you decide to do this trip? Why did you volunteer to come out and do this lot?
So I think I've always had a desire to do a sea trip or a boat trip of some sort, and I've spoken about it quite often to my family, but never really had the gumption to get up and do something about it. So when I heard that Skipper Jacko was doing this trip, I straight away thought, well, that'd be something to do. And I thought, okay, well, he's going to be away for 3 years, so I'll kind of slot in somewhere. But then I realized that with this opportunity coming up, I must just do it now. And so with some apprehension, I must say, I made my way to Brazil after a couple of false starts with planes, delays, etc., and started this wonderful adventure.
And was it as you expected, just briefly?
Yes, I think in a sense it's tougher than I expected, but in terms of doing the range of things that I needed to do or wanted to do, of experiencing the sort of, I suppose, the champagne sailing, the really tough sailing, which I must say as a novice I found I was a little apprehensive, but when you realize the boat's capability, you kind of relax into it a little bit more. So that was always for me interesting, and I really enjoyed getting to know the boat and understanding how it works and how things are set up. And for me, that was really good.
So, leading on from that, what was the best part for you of the whole lot?
I think the calmness of being under sail for extended periods of time was for me very very appealing, and coupled to that, just spending time with 2 other people, you get to know. I think you learn a lot about them and a lot from them.
Okay. And then just to keep it under an hour now, what was the worst part?
I think there's a non-sailing worst part, and that was the frustration of trying to get through the bureaucracy of clocking in and out of Brazil. That was for me very frustrating. And I suppose the other worst part, not really worst part, was just dealing with the currents and the nights getting out of the Amazon. That was interesting for me.
Yeah, I think we'll all agree on that. The Amazon seriously challenged us. And then you're going to go home, and what are you most looking forward to in the comforts of home after doing this lot?
Yeah, I think for me, just to experience being back with family and friends and interacting with more than 2 people would be quite interesting.
I think so.
But I want to comment about my 2 crew members if I can. First of all, Skipper Jacko. Certainly the paddling fraternity knows him as the sort of white man of our paddling group. But I think the Afrikaans term "stillewater loop diep" applies here. I've just found him to be has a steely determination in everything he does. He's competent, he's courageous, he's looked after Irish and I tremendously well. Whenever there's been any tough job to do forward on the boat, he's always volunteered to do that, and that's been good for us. So Joko, thank you. I mean, that's been a really good shepherd to Irish and I.
Thanks, Ted. You get an extra beer tonight.
And Irish, for someone who's been on this boat for 80 days, he's still the same calm, energetic and interesting Irish. We've had to relearn the art of conversation, and that's been great. Living in this little bathroom of ours of 5 by 2 meters, I think one learns the sort of importance of teamwork, of mutual respect, of learning from each other, and that's been also a wonderful part of this trip as far as I'm concerned.
And leaving the bathroom window open after you've done your bits has been crucial in keeping our relationships happy. Anyway, thanks Ted, that was a great insight, thank you, and thanks to you for your brilliant crew efforts. Alright, Irish. So there he is, my co-crew member for the best part of 10,000 kilometers over the past probably 3 months and a bit. Irish, tell me, just to give us a little bit of a background of your family, yourself, your home, etc., where you live.
Okay, so I was born very young, and of Irish distraction. So the rest flows from there. Not knowing Africa, I volunteered to work in Zambia as a volunteer teacher, and that got Africa under my skin. And the rest is sort of history. My wife Avril is a nurse, now do swim teaching from our house home in Durban. 3 children, twin boys and a girl, and that's really it. And now, I suppose the glamorous description is to say I'm retired, but the reality is I don't have any work at the moment, and I don't intend doing any more work if I can help it. And that's it.
Yeah, Irish likes to tell us he's got 3 children and had sex twice. So we're trying to figure that out still, but probably due to the twins.
Oh dear, oh dear. And I had an assurance that we'd keep all this above board.
Right, have you sailed before?
In terms of ocean sailing, absolutely zip, zero, no, nothing. Fiddled a little bit, but only as little dinghies and Hobie Cat sort of stuff, but never an overnight, never ever. So okay. I really was taking a leap into the unknown and trusting my whole life in the hands of one Brandon Jackson.
No pressure. All right, and then, so why did you volunteer for this trip then? What made you decide to take it on?
The unknown, the adventure of the unknown. I've always enjoyed just launching into things and then figuring it out as we go along. And also don't forget that with the Jerry's paddling group, I've basically been nagging you for a long time. Every time your trip got mentioned, I'd jump up and say, pick me, pick me. So you really didn't have too much of a choice, I think, in the end.
I thought he was joking, but he was pretty damn serious.
80 days serious.
80 days serious.
Oh, no. But now, hang on, that 80 days was never part of the initial expectation.
Yeah. But you got stuck on the boat. Okay, was it as you expected?
Yeah, that's a very fair question. The reality, of course, is it's impossible to answer that because I just did not know what to expect. Yeah, so I'd say yes, in some respects it was, in other respects it was so new that I had no expectation. But overall, absolutely brilliant. Life-changing, I suppose, yes, that's a cliche, but it does get you into a mode of introspection, and I like to think a lasting appreciation of what you've got and what you can make yourself content with.
Right, good, yeah. So the minimalist type living is a whole new learning experience. What was the best part for you, if any?
The best part was basically the whole lot. Yeah, and just seeing new places. I mean, St. Helena was just exquisite. Absolutely loved St. Helena. I love the clarity of the water, beautiful warm water. I'm not a lover of rain or cold weather, so that was fantastic. Absolutely brilliant, St. Helena.
And just pick one, the worst part.
Having to use the engine, the motors, on a sailing trip, nah. If you can avoid using the engines, you just feel so much more natural and correct to the cause.
So you can see Irish has now become a true sailor, because every sailor will tell you that his worst part is having to turn the engines on and burn diesel. Right, and then as I asked Ted, when you get home, what are you most looking forward to? The luxuries of home, what are you looking forward to?
Well, quite obviously, if this is going to go any way viral, then obviously looking forward to my wife and my children. But the one thing that I've missed is the ability to just walk around when you want to. So it's two things really, walking and driving. I look forward to being able to get in my car and just drive somewhere. The freedom. You think you're free out in the ocean, but actually you're trapped in a bathroom.
Just to elaborate on that, we've described the cockpit where we spend our day in the cockpit of the boat as the size of an average home's bathroom. So everything we talk about our relationships in the bathroom here.
For 80 days.
For 80 days. Anyway, thanks Irish, great insight.
Fantastic, and thanks to you. And thanks to Ted also, I mean, fantastic.
Yeah, I think we've had a great trip, guys. Been some tough times, some good times, but we're nearly there. I think we've got about 20 nautical miles to go to Grenada, and that'll be the end of this leg. And coming into Brickley Bay, Anchorage.
Irish getting there, anchor ready.
And anchor down at Brickley Bay. Well then, guys. And passage beers. And that's the end of that. Whew, tough one.